Hello everyone. Today I have done a podcast hosted by Sri Pandurang Katti, co-founder of the Save Indian Family Foundation. In this podcast, we talk about the future of travel in the next 5 to 10 years.
Today, what we are going to do is a very interesting thing. Okay, so we are going to talk about future of travel. We would try to see the trends that, what is coming, how it might affect our travel, in the next decade. So shall we get started, Katisa?
Yeah, let's get started.
We will talk about how the travel landscape will shape up in the upcoming decade from 2025 to 2035.
So how the world's, events are reshaping. Okay, many things are happening. And how is it reshaping the travel landscape? Key global events, okay, that may be reshaping the travel, geopolitical tensions. So a lot of, wars happening in different, geographies, and which is also, shaping travel. Say, for example, anywhere there is a, dispute happening or there is war, people will typically not travel. Okay. Let's take the example of Ukraine. Ukraine was actually coming up as a pretty good travel destination. Then, war happened and, it's almost, travel is almost over for that. Next is economic shift. In the next few years, there will be big economic shift that may be happening and it's already happening. Okay. So those economic shift is going to also shape how people traveling from which country, how, people in the local area, say, for example, in India, establishments which may be catering to people from a typical geography. And if they stop traveling, what will happen to them? So those kind of shifts, looks like could be happening. Technological advancement. So one of the big thing that is happening in technological advancement is with AI, which is really changing the thing. I went to AWS Summit, a couple of days back, and I was talking to one of the person there, who basically caters to AI startup. He was showing me one bot they have named as Travel Genie, and it was able to find all your travel information wherever you might have put it. Those kind of things are, slowly coming up and really making, advancement. Another thing you will see is the metaverse thing, which will basically allow you to see a particular locality even before you are visiting it, almost in reality. Next, we will see remote work location. So remote work has taken a big time during the pandemic. However, in the last 1 year, the reversing of remote work is also happening. So both of them are having a good impact on travel. Demographic shift. So this is very important. Okay. Say, countries which have aging population like Japan. In those countries, you will not have much of domestic travel. People from outside may travel, then, your internal travel almost goes down. Another thing that you will see in travel is that, a large quantity of travel nowadays happening is youth driven and particularly driven by social media. Next is, rising cost of living and inflation. We will see that in detail, how is it affecting it. And with all these things, a lot of countries have, opened up their visas and have come up with digital nomad visas. We will, talk about them. Let's see, how tech-driven travel transformations are happening. AI-powered personalization is happening in itinerary planning. So nowadays, you can go to, say, Chat GPT
and enter a proper prompt that
I would need to go to a particular place and I need so and so and so things. It will be able to provide you a pretty decent itinerary. So helps you planning in your travel. Next, virtual tourism, metaverse previews. So we already talked about the metaverse, which can give you a preview before you actually travel to them. Another thing that have caught up is virtual tourism. So you can join, particular websites or sign up for those, virtual tourisms, and they will give you a virtual tour of a particular museum or maybe a particular city. Biometric identity has improved a lot over, last few years. Nowadays, even if you go to the airport, you literally do not have to do much of paperwork. You literally can go and stand in front of a gate. Literally, it scans, your thumbnail or maybe your eye, and it will allow you in. In India also, this thing is catching up pretty much. So a time will come slowly wherein, it will try to do no touch check-in. So these things are really coming up. In India, there is this hotel called Ginger. In that, they used to have, no touch check-in, check-out.
When we faced that problem in Berlin, when me, Samir, and Sujit,
Hmm.
we went there and tried to check in. And it was like, what the hell? Their machine was not working for some time. So we called, then somebody was not working, but finally it worked. But in the hotel, right, we didn't see any staff till the next day afternoon. So that's how it was. So we should be ready to, we should get ourselves enabled to handle these kind of situations where there's nobody to really take care of you. And that's the really the future of travel. Nobody will be there to take care.
Thank you, Katisa. So bringing in, real context to it. So these things will be happening more and more, particularly in the Western world. So this is happening in India also. Companies who wants to probably make more money, they may be doing it. But in travel, a human touch is very important. At the end of the day, if you want to make a difference as a company or a service provider, human touch is something, that will be remembered. Next, let's go to Hyperloop, air taxis, and supersonic travel. Hyperloop, we might have heard in India, near Pune, there was already, tests being going on. Elon Musk is working on Hyperloop in big time. Definitely by 2035, we will have some real Hyperloop, moving around in some part of the world. Going to happen for sure. It may be in this avatar, but some form of Hyperloop pod travel is happening. Air taxis is going to come very soon because this is already approved. Some of the companies in the US. In India also, techno-commercially, this is approved. Okay. There are already talks that, air taxis will be taking up from Bengaluru airport and going to Electronic City. You should be seeing it in another couple of years. And then supersonic travel. Typically, our aircraft that we go, it goes about, 700 kilometer per hour kind of a speed. But supersonic travel was already there. There was a aircraft called Concorde. Okay. But due to safety issues, Concorde and, cost, Concorde has been stopped, but it is being worked on again now. There are companies like, Boom Supersonic and Exosonic in the US. They are working on it. And, supersonic travel should be coming. So this typically, helps when someone is traveling, intercontinental. Say, for example, New York to Europe could be done in probably around 3 hours. So those kind of things are also in the offing. In India, in travel, the big thing that is coming up is bullet train. So what we heard is that, bullet trains may be inaugurated probably in 2027 or so with bullet trains about 300 plus kilometer per hour speed. So this is definitely going to transform how we travel. As of now, that what is being worked on is between in Ahmedabad and Mumbai, but that is not all because there are already techno feasibility things are being done on various other routes and those things will be happening. Okay, so we already talked about this no touch things in the hotels, so robotic check-ins and smart check-ins that will be happening. Next thing, let's look about the rise of digital nomad. So what is digital nomad? So digital nomad is somebody who is working remotely in some low cost destinations. Okay. Particularly, you will see people from the Western world, going to some, Southeast Asian country or maybe Caribbean or, African country. And from there, they will be running their operations remote. There could be freelancers also who do that. Remote work visas in countries like Portugal, Barbados, and Thailand. Thailand has opened up big time, when it comes to, remote working, digital nomad and all that. Workation culture, okay, blending, business with leisure. So as I told, people who are already, working remotely from some low cost destination and at the same time, running their operations. It actually makes, business sense because you are spending less and you are still making money in dollar or some other, Western currency. Co-working resorts and, Wi-Fi first. What this basically means is that, resorts and all nowadays have schemes, okay, where they allow you stay there and work for a longer duration. And, there are benefits. Say, for example, per day cost, whatever it is, when you stay there for 7 days or, 15 days, as a workation, the cost will be lesser than. Okay. So that way travel destinations and, companies, resorts, etc. are also trying to attract people. Okay. And this is also beneficial for, freelancers and, digital nomads. Okay. So, remote workers, favor second tier or low cost cities, as I was, just mentioning low cost destinations. So another thing which will be happening in the next decade is the rise of second tier, that is two tier, three tier, and cities. These cities will definitely rise, and you will see that more and more people are favoring them for, not only travel, for probably stay also in the long run. Geopolitics and safe travel corridors. So as we were talking about that, in any part of the world, in any geography, if there is a war or if it is not safe, say for example, Nigeria, even if it is not in a, war, that region is typically not very safe. Okay. So you have to be really careful in those areas. Travel will be picking up or not depends on a lot of, this kind of, security, personal security, which is involved. Next is, visa on arrival normalization in Africa and Asia. So if you see for India, visa on arrival and free visa has been done for Thailand, Iran, Indonesia, Malaysia, and many other countries. With this, I want to tell one more thing. India's passport ranking is going to rise in the next decade. You will see more and more, countries providing you, free visas and, visa on arrivals as we go forward. Risky destinations. Okay, we already know Gaza, what is happening, Sudan, Taiwan. Taiwan is a very hot spot at this point of time. So, people may be thinking, whether I should travel or not. Diplomacy, influencing travel access. So what this basically means is that as a country's, ranking in terms of economic influence, geopolitical influence rises, your travel access also increases. So this is what is happening with India. Okay. And going forward, this is going to rise for insurance adapting to geopolitical risk. So this is, one thing, probably we as a traveler need to keep in mind that, whenever we travel, particularly outside India, we should take a, travel insurance. This typically doesn't cost much, but this is going to be very, very handy. So do think of, travel insurance, along with your travel plan as well. So Katti sir, you travel quite a bit, in the West, Europe as well. So how do you, take this?
I travel little safe that way. I haven't traveled to countries which are okay. And again, see if you look at India, right? India, there are most of the places are easy to travel for India. I look at it for me. Travel planning starts. What do you call it? 3 months in advance. Typically, I look at my way of looking at cost management. I'll see which location has got a cheaper travel today, and I know that you look either from Chennai or from a little bit here, you'll get cheaper and all that, and then just book the travel. That's how I do. First, you book the ticket. After that, you will decide. Then,
Understood. Now, how
and
do
that's
we look
India.
at
But
in
if
terms
you
of
look at out of the
insurance?
countries, right, your visa process is pretty rigorous when it comes to Europe. I think I had covered in the last time it's very rigorous. Whereas when it came to Cambodia, pretty straightforward. You just went, uploaded, and within 2 days we had the visa. So very easy. We will know when we go on our November trip on Thailand on the visa on arrival situation, how it works. I probably have to do Sri Lanka to know how that whole scene works. So I know Europe is tough. America have got a visa in 2019, so I mean for me it's very easy to travel. Just pick up the flight and then go. That's about it.
So I was trying to ask you, how do you, or what do you do about travel insurance? Do you do anything?
Oh, travel insurance, you go online,
Mhm.
book the travel insurance. That's it.
Okay.
Within
So
2 minutes, we are ready.
so you do
And
it
it's
all the
very
time when you travel outside India, is it?
correct. You always should buy, because if you don't buy the travel insurance, the country will deport you back. So it's very important you have a travel insurance.
Okay, so let's proceed next. Very important, and this is going to be very interesting, guys. Okay, if you have questions, you can put, in the chat and we will take it up, as and when we go. Economic trends influencing travel. So these are the points that we will be talking further in details. Inflation and cost of living pressures. Travelers opting for shorter regional or domestic trips to cut expenses. Budget airlines expanding, ultra long haul services. Demands grow for installment based financing. You already know from Make My Trip and all, just go, right? They want you to spend and then, go into EMI spiral and all that. Higher airfares, we are all experiencing that. Higher accommodation cost, rise in popularity of budget airlines, hostels and off-peak travel. Multi-generational travels. This is something, new. We will talk about that. Polarization of travel. That is also kind of happening and going to happen further. We'll talk about that. We'll continue with that. So recession risk and global economic slowdowns. So we all know that a large part of the world is going through recession risk and there is economic slowdown. When I say this, I typically mean about the Western world. So what happens if a particular geography is going through an economic slowdown? A lot of people who are traveling, from that geography to other part of the world will typically slow down, or then their numbers will keep coming down. So this is what potential recessions may reduce international travel volume, especially leisure trips. That means trips which you are typically taking only for vacations or enjoyment, those things will typically come down. Business travels becomes more selective and hybrid. So what basically means is that countries like India and other where, a lot of the companies have their back office or subsidiaries. Okay. So a lot of business travels used to happen. Those things will also become very selective. They will probably try to do that over a, face-to-face meeting over Zoom rather than, traveling.
Yeah, I'll tell you, we already saw that. One of my batchmates from Microsoft, he was telling like he is getting approval to travel on business like once in 3 years and something like. Even client visits are happening remotely. So everything has become remote. So he doesn't. So now, if you want to do travel, you have to do all on your own. Companies are expecting to travel out of your location lesser and lesser and lesser. I don't know even, and this is true even for software now. So earlier software means you had to travel for installation. The biggest thing they used to do, you build the software, now to install. Somebody has to go there and install it the client. So you have to send two people. Now installation is all remote. You put it on the remote system goes. So no longer that is there. Then you used to say, we need to see client visits, client presentation, you need to go. Now, even that is remote. So even you don't go for client visit and client presentation. So literally the business travel, I don't know, apart from, if you're a CEO, CTIO, CIO, or you're part of that very select set, the business travel has reduced. And that's what my observation is. I don't know how much you guys are also seeing in terms of the business travel. So Jeet or any other, what's your sense on business travel? Reduced now?
Yes, huge reduction. And, these things is going to come down even further. Businesses will be very conscious, to save cash. Okay. And with, cloud in software, with the cloud, software as a service coming up. So a lot of this installation business is, almost over. Okay. So you basically purchase a subscription and start using it. So, things have changed tremendously in software. Along with that, software, business related travels are also being impacted. Okay. Next, airlines and hospitality sector offer dynamic pricing and subscription travel models to secure loyalty. Very interesting. So what is happening is that, as all these things, are happening, travel companies are also trying to have dedicated people and they are providing service as a subscription. Say, for example, they're saying you buy this subscription in a month, we will give you 2 air travels. This is the subscription fees. Okay. So like these subscription models have also started taking up. Let's continue with the trends. Emerging markets and economic growth. Fast growing economies. Okay. Say India, Southeast Asia, some part of, Africa are growing. Okay. So these growing economies are the new source of outbound travelers. People might have, seen this in the early 2000s, okay, and in the last decade. Chinese travelers were there all over the world. We can pretty well say, along with the rise of China, the outbound travelers from China also increased tremendously. Okay, so same happening here with fast growing economies. From India, Also, you will see a large number of outgrowing or outbound travelers. Today in India, who travel outside India? Mostly the elites who will go to Europe and all that Western countries. I don't think, many middle class people can afford, to go and stay there, and travel for a long time. Okay. But this is going to change. And I feel maybe in another 3 to 4 years itself, we will be able to see that change. And I will talk about why that change might happen. Rising middle classes in this region increases demand for visa-free and accessible travel. So in India, the rise of the middle class, particularly with help of, IT, okay, a lot of travel happens. And that middle class typically travels to UAE, Thailand, etc. Next, a lot of infrastructure development happens. So if you go to Thailand, okay, you will see, the infrastructure, which is, tremendous. So Thailand and the neighboring countries known as, Asian tigers in terms of economy, they started coming up from the, 80s, somewhere about, mid 80s and all, they already started coming up. Okay. So their infrastructure has already been developed. In India, the infrastructure development has probably taken up only in last 15 years. Okay, with highways been happening, and we can see now visible changes. Even if you visit the northeast of India, the road network and the quality of road is tremendous. Okay, so those things will be happening. Airports are, happening at tremendous speed. Some cities are having now the second airport, like, in the NCR region, in Mumbai. So Bangalore is already talking about, second airport, and, that might pretty much, come up soon. So infrastructure would be happening at tremendous speed that will help mobility and travel as well. Next, we were talking about subscription-based travel. So let's talk about that in little detail. So subscription-based, travel is nothing but it's a model, okay, where you as a traveler will be paying a subscription fees, which could be monthly, quarterly, or annually. And then you will receive a range of benefits. Okay. It could be a discounted travel. It could be a particular, free launch services. Okay. Or it could be some priority services, which you might receive. So from the user's point of view, okay, from the user's point of view, it will give you some predictable cost that, okay, if I do this for this month, I have this cost, okay, because you are in a subscription model. However, this is more beneficial from the company point of view. So once you buy the subscription, you are more or less tied to that company. If you do not like the service also, or if you do not want a service, more than like, if you do not want a particular service, or if you want a different service, you will feel, very hesitant to do that because you have already paid for it. Okay. So subscription-based thing, please think about it, that what you are signing up for. So that would be very important. In India, you have, Yatra Prime. So they provide, subscription-based services. There is Club Mahindra for resorts, where you can buy subscription. Stitch India, Jostel Passport. Okay. So Jostel have a,
So, Jeep, one interesting question came up.
mhm.
How much you should spend on travel? So, right, so this is both finance and travel mixed together. So, if some of you would have attended the finance session, and what we came to the conclusion that, and there's a minimums and maximums. Whatever your income after taxes, 50% of that should be on of your expenses should be an essential travel. Then you can say 30% should be on your hobbies. So basically, if you have a 10 lakh of income, you can spend 3 lakh on travel with nothing else on hobbies. Or if you have 10 lakhs of income, you can spend 2 lakhs with 1 lakh for other hobbies. I think something like that. What do you say?
Okay. So I have, little interesting take on that. So what I will say is that whatever you are earning, your net take home, I would say, you can spend about 15% guilt-free. See, that is very important when it comes to finance, okay? If you are spending, it should be guilt-free. Otherwise, you will not be able to enjoy that or feel that thing that you are doing. So keep about 15% of it, guilt-free. Now, some people who are just starting up, okay, say you have just joined the job, okay, then, wherein your net take home may not be that high, that can be little more, okay. But I would always suggest, do not think that, I will just travel and, enjoy experiences and all that thing. You have to be realistic as well. Okay.
Basically,
So,
don't take loan. Let's start with that. Don't take loan for travel.
Absolutely don't take loan. Do not take deferred payments. Like in, Make My Trip, you will get, right? Buy now, pay later. Do not do that. Okay. Absolute no.
Agree. I think travel, remember, travel is not an essential yet. This is a luxury. So luxuries, you should never take a loan for luxuries. You
Absolutely.
can take for essentials if travel is part of your job or your business, yes, but otherwise don't. I guess that, I mean, of your total expense, I generally think if your expenses is X, one third of it is travel, that's okay. But your expenses cannot be more than your income. The first thing you cut, first thing you cut on your expenses is travel.
Absolutely. However, keep in mind that, it's not necessary that you have to spend a lot of money for travel. There are immense means of doing that. You can be really innovative. Okay. Say, for example, if some guy wants to travel and, he is little bit innovative and adventurous, you can actually even travel by hitchhiking. Okay. It may not be, very comfortable, but you can do this.
नंबर रखना है यहाँ पर कभी भी आ सकते हैं हम लोग रुकने के लिए रात में ठीक है अच्छा कल रात ले जाना यहाँ पे रुके थे ना कुछ बात करते हैं अभी नहीं
Yeah, I'm muted.
Yeah. So that is very important. Okay. For travel, it is not very important that you have to spend a lot of money.
Jeet, one question. So this is on Zostel this or whatever this. What is this subscription they actually give you?
So basically, they will allow you, particular number of stays. Okay. And say, for example, they have various branches all over India. And they will allow you various number of stays.
So in a sense, like if you take 5 stays, then you get a 6-day free, something like that.
No. You are basically buying the service as a subscription. Say, for example, you are paying a subscription fees. They are basically saying that in a month, you can come and stay 6 days in any of our branches.
Okay.
Like that. Okay. Say, for example, Netflix you are buying, right? And you are able to see all their, content. Okay. So what may happen is that Netflix, they may have gold, they may have silver. Silver will show you some sort of, content. Gold will give you little more content like that. So there are levels of subscriptions also that, say, for example, if you buy gold, they will tell you that, okay, you will get, this quality of room. Okay. For this many days. Silver will give you, say, for, every month you will get 3 days. Gold will give you 6 days, something like that.
See, I had a disappointment with Make My Trip. I had got some gift cards, and I got it money to money, gift card into money. But when I tried to buy it from Make My Trip, see, they gave a discount on a hotel stay, right? The moment you use the gift card, the discount goes away. But almost like a disappointment there. So I think you have to be careful many of these, right? You have to look at all the terms and conditions.
Absolutely.
But I think in every booking, right, you have to see if there's all of this Make My Trip, Clear Trip, they share available coupons they'll allow you. So always try to get that type of coupon. I found that it saves you some at least 200, 300, 400, 500 rupees each travel. And right now, I think IDFC Bank credit card and the Axis Bank credit card is giving you discount everywhere. But this changes. Personally, I have decided that I will not go with any what do you call it? Any of the loyalty schemes. I found like when I wanted exactly that flight is faster and all that. But anyway, this is good. If you're what is the minimum kind of stay do you require for Club Mahindra or any of
There is minimum kind of stay. They only tell you that, say, for example, in Club Mahindra, you can go and stay this many, times in a month. Okay, like this they will give you when you purchase a 12-month subscription, something like that, or you purchase 3 years, 5 years. So I think my Club Mahindra also have 10 years. So something like that,
so
as
anybody
you
here have an
purchase.
experience with any of these? You saw the Himanshu's here. If you use an extra discount from Chinese IP address,
Okay.
not bad.
Okay, let's proceed, Katisa. Okay, so we are also going to talk about, travel as a service model. So people who are in the software industry might have already heard, software as a service and the kind of transformation that has brought along with it. Okay. So there is something emerging, travel as a service model as well. So what basically it is cloud-based, okay, modular approach, plug and play services, digital platforms and APIs. Okay. So what it basically does is it allows us to add services. Okay. Whenever business wants to, open a travel venture, they can choose services as a plug and play. Okay. And also it allows to give ancillary services, going forward. Now, what kind of things that it allows us to quickly do it? Okay. Booking, payments, itineraries, insurance, loyalty programs, and more. Now let's take few examples. You see booking, right? A lot of these bookings are happening, right? Make my trip, yatra, etc. The technology actually is not, from them. They take this service from other companies, something like OTA.com, okay, who basically devises this dynamic pricing and all those things. And based on that, they use APIs and pull up these services and which we see and, buy our tickets and all that. Okay. So what kind of services, this allows? Seamless integrations, as I said, I want to add some, travel service, which may be a loyalty program or, insurance. I can just simply add it as a module and start giving that service. White labeling. White labeling basically means that, I as a company can take a service from someone and sell it under my brand. Okay. This is happening. End-to-end automation is happening, when it comes to flights, hotels, cabs, everything is happening. Automation, payment, gateway like Pay, Stripe, etc., and all that. Everything is happening on the go. It provides you a scalable architecture, real-time inventory, how many flights are available, how many hotel seats are available, etc. Okay, allows you powered, personalization. So if you have gone to Make My Trip, Go Ibibo, etc., you will see now you are able to see the sentiment of comments. Okay, so basically we check, right, what people are commenting to see, whether a property or a flight service or a airlines is good or bad. So now rather than going through hundreds of comments, we can quickly see the sentiment. That gives a, quickly pretty good idea that, what the service quality is. Cost efficiency. That also, increases cost efficiency of the service providers. So what is the bottom line? The bottom line is that services can go to the market a lot faster. Revenue stream diversification can happen. You do not have to depend on only one sort of services. A lot of services can be provided and thereby doing diversification. Very important and the most influential thing that could be happening in this decade. How many of you have heard of this term de-dollarization? If we understand correctly, just to give you a quick recap what it is, let's first understand what is, dollarization. So dollarization was basically when dollar became the reserve currency of the world after, replacing pound after Second World War. Okay. So what happened? People started keeping dollar because when you have to do international trade, you need dollar. one of the most important event that happened was that in 1971, when, it was decided by the OPEC countries, that is petroleum producing countries, that they will sell petroleum only on dollar. So it became very important for countries, who are consuming petroleum or otherwise, that they have to keep dollar reserve to do international transactions. So de facto, dollar became the reserve currency of the world. Okay. And by that, its power increased tremendously. If you go back, few decades in the 90s, okay, if I remember correctly, dollar was something about 34, 35 rupees. Okay. Early 90s, I'm talking about. In the last decade, if we see, dollar was about 65, 67, something around that. Then now it went to almost 88. It came down a little bit till 83. Now it is again about 85. Okay. So what it is, basically fueling that, dollar's power. It is basically the demand, right? Now, what is de-dollarization? It is just the reverse of that, that people or the countries will not trade in dollar anymore. Okay. And if that happens, okay, what are the things that will happen and impact in travel? We will talk. Now, we have already seen that India has already been promoting bilateral currency trades. We have already done that with Sri Lanka. We are doing that with Russia. We have done that with UAE also. We have done that with Iran also. Okay. So India is doing that. Russia is doing that. And a lot of other countries will be doing that as well. Okay. As this happens, and the geopolitical things that happened, recently with, United States removing Russia from the SWIFT, system. Okay. There is a lot of, I will say, fear in, other countries that may happen to them also. And people are taking their own precautions. Okay. So if dollar is going down, okay, and some people are saying that, in next few years, dollar might reduce by, say, 30%, 35%, or maybe more. Okay. If that happens, what could be happening? First, let's talk about in India. In India, if there are establishments which are solely catering to Western users, will be up for a rude shock. If there are
This
restaurants,
happened to Goa, na?
sorry,
Earlier in 2010 and all, they would only cater to the Western people.
absolutely, absolutely.
And now in Goa travels to, now majority of the travelers are Indians. Earlier, like Russian used to be a big one, Western countries used to be a big one, and then for whatever reasons, Indians have taken over. Similarly, I think we have seen worldwide there is a, what do you call it? Indian tourists are getting a better name. I know we keep hearing the ugly Indian kind of a stereotype that we are like this only, but that's not true. Our Indian actually tourists are, from whatever I heard, right? They're all very polite and that in general. So our most countries are looking forward to having them around. We are less. We are more of a what kind of tourist? They're more of a historical and a tourist kind of person rather than the Western people are looking for something else.
So let's, take this, Katti, sir. Goa's situation is little different. Okay. So the tourism, particularly foreign tourism went down in Goa, during the pandemic. And after that, it did not pick up. That's the truth. Okay. So, the thing is that, there are already some videos and all in the social media during the last, New Year time that, some of the streets are empty and all that. I cannot vouch for their, authenticity, but the foreign tourist in Goa has gone down and, during the pandemic, and it has not picked up at all. Some of the things is talked about is that the value, okay, the cost is, they say, maybe as much as, Thailand or maybe more than that. So they prefer going to Thailand or, other places like Cambodia, Vietnam, etc. Okay. That's, something happened with Goa. So, but the underlying thing is same. Cost is going up, or they are currency value is going down, basically telling that they will not be able to afford the travel, particularly Western masses. And what it's going to affect here is that establishments who only saw, money from foreign tourists, okay, they are going to be really up for a root shock unless and until they diversify. Okay. So that is one thing, we have to really, really see. As, we were talking that there will be a tremendous fall in Western tourists in the developing world, not just India. In India, you will see that, some Western tourists will come and they will backpack in India for, 3 months, 4 months. Okay. So they are doing not because they have earned that money. They are doing simply because of the power of the dollar reserve currency or any other Western currency, which are nothing but, isotopes of the dollar. Okay. So any, people in our country who may be feeling envy that they have, they have so much money. They do not have money. It's just the, reserve currency power of them. Okay. The moment this thing goes away, Western masses will not be able to travel in the developing world. Their numbers will completely come down. I'll take one example. Okay. Let's take the example of Thailand. So if we make a pie chart of Thailand in terms of, travelers, okay, foreign travelers, we can divide it into 4 big chunks. One is Indians, second is Russians, the third is Chinese, and the fourth is Western travelers. Okay. In all of this, by 2030 plus, the number of Western travelers to these countries will substantially come down. Probably their elites will be able to travel, but the Western masses, it's probably time up. Next thing, very, very interesting and good news for India. Indian travelers will be seen everywhere, most probably post 2030, because as value of dollar come down and, other currencies, Indian rupee is supposed to, say, for example, if today is 85, if it becomes, 40 in say 3-4 years, just taking, example, hypothetical example, 3-4 years, it becomes 40. That means rupee has increased its, position by how much? More than 50%. So if that happens, say today, if I see currency conversion between Thai baht and India, I think one Thai baht is equal to 2.3 or 2.2 something. Okay. Then Indian rupee will become more powerful in terms of Thai baht. That means today, if anyone goes to Thailand and wants to spend, 5 to 7 days and he spends about 1 lakh rupees, that means you will be spending almost 50% less and you will be able to do the same. There will be a huge pour out of outbound travelers from India. This is, what I feel. Okay. Then, Indian travel power in the post de-dollarized world. Okay. Now, say, for example, countries like Sri Lanka and Thailand, they are completely, dependent on tourism. I had traveled, Sri Lanka in the end of 2013. Okay. We did a backpacking for about, 12 to 13 days there. And, we were able to see the, impact that the tsunami had on them, even after, so many years. Tsunami was, I think, in 2004. Even after so many years, the impact was there. The people were talking about the things that were there, and it is no longer there in places like, Veligama, which is, typically famous for diving and all that. So if our people are going and spending money in, this tourism, based countries like Sri Lanka, Thailand, what kind of power, India will wield at that point of time. So, we really need to think of that. We need to be responsible as well. And we have to, see how we can make the best of it. Next. So this is, something, a trend in travelers that, being seen, that is coming up. So there has been a lot of talk, in the last few years, probably, but luxury travel. The luxury segment has been increasing. The elites of India, going out and, to luxurious places, destination weddings and whatnot. Okay. But what has been seen, lately is that travelers are more talking about, authenticity. They want to see the real thing, not, something they have made out of it. They want to see historical connections rather than, just to go in some places and, have some luxury, these, that, and all those things. Okay. And when I say historical connections, this basically means people are going and looking for their roots. One of this example I'll give, one of our, member and, my friend Joy Bose had gone to Bangladesh, I think couple of years back. Yes, a couple of years back. And he went and tried to retrace his route and, saw his things and all that. So those kind of things are coming up and, will be happening more. Ancestry and genealogy tourism rising. Just, what I talked about now, that, people are, trying to retrace their roots. Some of the traveling that happens in India, from Britain are also, in this regard. Some of their forefathers were, officers or working in the British Indian government, and, they may be kept, here itself, their, final resting place. Okay, let's move on next. Culinary tourism boom driven by social media. So this is nothing but, basically about food. So people go to places to taste food, to know about food, and along with that comes also culture. So very important. People are trying to know culture. They want to get associated with it. They want to see real, feel of it. Okay. So that is something we'll be picking up. So along with that, you will see a lot of, local stays, homestays and all that. These things will pick up. Slow travel movement. Okay. So people would like to travel slow. This thing will happen. Say, for example, today, if I have time, I will certainly like to travel slow. There is no point in, taking a flight, running around, spending more money. Okay. So this thing is slowly picking up. Okay. People want, to save as well at the same time, feel it. Rise of alternative destinations in India. We know already the typical destinations, okay, where people travel, but there are some destinations which are picking up now. Okay, say Dholavira. It's an ancient Indus Valley civilization, and it's an amazing place, and it's slowly picking up. Mechuka. I'm not sure how many of you might have heard of it. It's an amazing, remote place in Arunachal Pradesh and near the, border, China border. But it gives an amazing, peaceful, landscape that hardly, people would have seen. There is something called Vengurla. Okay, this is in Maharashtra. This is somewhere in the, Konkan coast. And, one of the most unspoiled, beautiful beaches, along with authentic food, local Konkan food you can taste there. Okay. That's in India. Okay. There is one more place I will tell, which is coming up and very important is, Majuli. Majuli is the largest, river island in the world. It's in the Brahmaputra. Okay. And, you can definitely try that. Very nice, very beautiful place, very, important and interesting tradition. Internationally, some destinations, which is picking up as an alternative destinations are Albania, Uzbekistan, Rwanda. Rwanda was a, completely war-torn, place, but slowly as, situation improved, this is also picking up. Okay. Let's go next. Some, important trends that are picking up, okay, in this decade is like, smart airports that we talked about. Basically like completely automated, no touch, check-ins, no touch, services. Those some things will be picking up very heavily. Space tourism. Okay. So space tourism is already happening. This is now, under the, purview of only few. Okay. So this will be in the next decade also. I see mostly it will remain in the purview of elite, but slowly as technology becomes more democratized, this might also open up for the masses, but this is probably will happen over a long time, not going to happen immediately. Cross-border travel. This thing happens in Europe, okay, for quite some time. This thing will pick up in India, at least maybe in the next decade or so. And what will pick up, I feel, is probably in the eastern side. There is something called already the Asian Highway, which is supposed to connect Kolkata to Bangkok. Okay. And once these things open and there may be, train connectivity, then, there is no going back. This will also give huge boost to the Eastern India and, cross-border travel as well. Blockchain-based travel booking. So blockchain is very important. The technology is certainly has its value. And there are, some companies like Travala.com allows you to book, travels using blockchain. Okay. And companies like, Emirates already accept crypto. If you want to book your flight using crypto, like Bitcoin, Emirates will allow it. Okay. But please understand one thing that, this is something, still really need to pick up. There was a project called Winding Tree. Okay. This was some guy from, I think, Russia or, Eastern Europe was doing it. But they have, stopped that project because they felt that, blockchain may be not fully ready for it, or, the travel industry probably not fully understood or trusted the blockchain. Okay. So this is an emerging thing and, it still probably will take time for it to become, generally, available. But the idea of blockchain is basically bringing decentralization. Okay. So what it can do over a period of time is that it will decentralize, travel in cities. Say, for example, in some cities where mass tourism is happening, there are so many people. So using these blockchain technologies, it can send people to different areas and manage the crowd so that, people can go to different places at the same time, do not crowd in one place. Okay. Thereby also doing crowd management plus, revenues are also not. Finally, there is, rewilding tourism and ecosystem restoration. So let's understand what is rewilding tourism. Rewilding tourism basically means places which have been probably, decayed or destroyed because of over tourism or some other reason. Those places are being rebuilt. And then, conscious tourism is being done by not allowing too many people. One example I'll give you is the Khas Plateau in Satara district of Maharashtra. Okay, that's a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and every day only 3,000 people is allowed to that. So that is one way of rewilding tourism. Patricia, you want to add anything before I proceed further?
Good. I think, there's an interesting, things that have happened in the travel. From initially, when people used to travel, they used to carry a potli and then walk on foot and all that. Then slowly, people used to travel. But when you travel, you used to not know where you are going to stay. The first thing you would do is go to that place, land up, and then ask somebody, a coolie or somebody, to recommend you hotels. Then based on the recommendation, you will go a round of a hotel watching and then finally select a hotel, haggle over the price. So I remember going on the travel and I used to be very nervous about going to travel because half a day used to be wasted on just finding a place to stay. Today, I think, and okay, because of that, right? Going at night, reaching at night, no. because who is going to land at night and try to find a place to stay and all that? Nowadays, you book tickets. Earlier, see, then they started the concept of travel booking, but even then we were never comfortable whether when we go there, whether a travel booking would be correct or not. We never knew that. Then we got online booking. Then even in online booking, based on that, you don't know what quality of hotel you will get. You can only rely on, say, if you are going 5-star, it is okay. Slowly, with photos and with reviews of the people, before even going, you have a much more reliability in terms of ability to travel the city. So that's a nice evolution I've seen happening. Earlier, travel was a very stressful activity. Similarly, now I travel with just a single backpack. It was not possible because earlier, what food you will get, you don't know. Whether you will get food or not, you don't know. All that is there. So in future, I'm kind of seeing that uh, when I first went to USA, right, it's international travel. Bloody hell, we used to carry the whole set of cash and traveler's checks on you. And if you lose it, you don't know what to do. Today, you have the number, your account number, everything is there with you. All you need to do is if you lose something, go online, do whatever, and you're ready with the money. So that's the kind of ease of travel has really, really improved. And this is not just, big cities, big places, literally smaller places. Of course, Africa, South America, I haven't traveled and I haven't heard of people who travel. Somebody, if he has traveled here, right, do let us know in our Big Out Travelers group. And I want to set up a session on travel in Africa or travel in South America by someone who has actually been there, done that. Okay. Europe is a well understood problem. Southeast Asia is like our own backyard when it comes to travel. America is like also well understood problem. But South America and Africa, which would be the most interesting thing for us. Yeah, it's become easy. It's become nice. And being a MGTOW, this is one. You leave your problems of home when you travel. That's why you feel much less stressed out. I've seen that even when I go to Pune, in Bangalore, you ask me to come to some place, I will not come. I'm at home. In Pune, just because I'm at different cities, I will go to Simagad Road, I will go to Hadapsar, and all that I will do. It helps more.
That's
Yeah.
great. That's great, Katti sir. So
And
let's take
information is available.
now.
So we are like at the last 5 minutes now.
So, we will now quickly talk about the impact on travelers and the industry. So what we see is, more flexible and, personalized options. So with increasing, travel services, you have a lot of, choices that are available. And, offerings are being basically customized and personalized, at scale for you. Travel infrastructure is improving, particularly in the developing world. In India also, things are improving. Places where, hardly there were anything. Now you have decent infrastructure and it will be happening and picking up further. Shifting business models, as we talked about, travel as a service, subscription model, so business models will be shifting. Okay. Say, for example, some establishment catering to only, some people from a particular geography, they will have to relook. Otherwise, there will be, hard time for them. So as a traveler, they are more cautious given the, geopolitical situations, inflation and, economic shift. People are a little confused. A lot of impromptu travels may not happen. You will see some, last minute bookings and all that because people when are not sure, that time you will see a lot of last minute bookings. But they are definitely conscious and connected. Travelers at this point will look at a lot of digital connectivity. They go to, online, look at information, try to understand the place. Okay. So travelers these days are, I would say a lot more informed, a lot more conscious and, looking more authenticity. Okay. And, genuineness in their travels. And for Indian traveler in this decade and the next, wherever you go, you should demand, okay, things as per your, consciousness, because we are the spending power. We should ask for things. Unless you ask, you will not get it. Okay. So by going to their country, by going to those destinations, you are doing a favor. So you need to know that. Definitely we should not become, rowdies and, making a bad scene there. But certainly we should call based on our, power. Finally, travel will always exist, but the way we do it will never be the same. So during the pandemic, we have seen it, how travel had changed. After the pandemic, also we are seeing change, and it will be evolving further and changing throughout this decade. Thank you very much.
That's it now. Friends, do let us know how did you like the video through your comments, likes and shares, and do subscribe to our channel Traveling Bits for more travel related information.